Hello, I'm Jason and welcome to my Blu-ray review for Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. And so this movie came out in 1984 and then had some re-releases thanks to Disney for the Blu-ray DVD release and also, English dub as well under the Studio Ghibli umbrella where they were able to do that. And, I'll be reviewing not only the movie itself but also the special features within the Blu-ray and also, the English dub and the Japanese original cut as well. And so with Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, a classic Studio Ghibli film, one of the first original works that Hayao Miyazaki worked on before Studio Ghibli was actually created, before he worked on TV, and also with Lupin the Third film as well. But Nausicaa is his first ever original work based on the 1982 manga of the same name, which he wrote as well, wrote and illustrated specifically there. He at first mentions that he wanted to make something that couldn't be animated. He just wanted to make a manga that that's well illustrated. However, he was later approached to animate Nausicaa into an original film, and so he did that in a very effective way. This movie, I would say, is pretty underrated under the Studio Ghibli umbrella, where you have classics from other Hayao Miyazaki works like A Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Ponyo. Those are really well regarded Studio Ghibli films. Nausicaa is kind of forgotten on the wayside, but pretty much I would say because it's an older film from the 1980s, but it still holds up very well, especially its message of environmentalism and with a war. The idiotic humans, as he does say in interviews, especially in interviews here in the special features, is really relaying that message of idiotic humans and also the dangers of nature as well. Nausicaa is sort of that bridge between those two worlds, and it's a very interesting story, very interesting narrative being told here through this heroine in Nausicaa, who is very much this divine sort of figure within this film. And I would say Nausicaa is a more subtle example of an animated film that is not really for kids. Depending on what kind of movies you show your kids, what kind of content you show them, it's not really the most kid-friendly film out there, more towards the greater the Firefly spectrum rather than the My Neighbor Totoro spectrum, if I use that scale there because of that infamous history between those two films. But it's a very dark film with a very morbid sort of tone. There's lots of killing, lots of senseless killing as well, not only for nature but also the humans as well. And so there's a lot of dark tones, very dark film. It's very effective in that way though, because it sends this very visceral sort of message to you through the character of Nausicaa of the Ohm being threatened in their homeland and the humans, using this biological weapon in the giant warrior, very well designed weapon that sort of destroyed humanity over 1,000 years ago, and this post-apocalyptic future between that there. And so it's not really the most kid-friendly film in that sort of setting, but it's a very effective sort of film in that sort of setting for a much older, mature audience, where you do have this amazing backgrounds for the world for 1,000 years in the future of the post-apocalyptic nature that we have, other than the Valley of the Wind, where this is a more serene atmosphere, especially the basement area where Nausicaa has a sort of a greenhouse sort of place there. So it's very well animated in that aspect. Sometimes the characters and their outfits and colors don't really match with the backgrounds, for my liking anyway, for my color palette. Some of the colors don't really match or really work well with some characters here. They're mostly regarding the supporting characters, I would say, but it's more of a minor nitpick. Doesn't really take me out of the film that much. What really does take me out of the film is just more my own personal biases, is with these peaceful characters, this pacifist sort of character, more overtly pacifist character in Nausicaa, who's all about peace. She is always trying to be a mediator between between the Tolmekians, the Valley of the Wind, and also the Pidgeites as well. These three sort of warring factions that go up against each other, all for the survival of not only Earth, but also themselves as well. So Nausicaa sort of this mediator between these three groups, and sort of our peaceful rhetoric can be a bit annoying to me at times, but I think for an overall aspect, for an objective point of view, quote-unquote objective, because all movies are subjective anyway, but still, for an overall aspect, I would say that her messages are very well true to the story and the themes of the film, and really does work out very well, especially for the end. A bit cheesy a little bit, but it does really bring out an effective message, and really brings in an optimistic view for a very, well, I would say is a moderately dark film for the most part. But it still goes without saying that Nausicaa is a very well-written character, and most of the characters here are very well-written, except for some lackeys from the Tolmekian side. Pretty one-note characters, I would say. But still, for the most part, all the characters are very well-written. Their motivations are very well-cut, and very gray areas are shown throughout all the characters as well. So it's very well effectively written for this narrative structure. I will also give credit to the dub as well. The dub is pretty effective in terms of keeping true to the themes and messages of the film, the tones of the film as well. This way straight too far from the original Japanese subtitles, and so if you're choosing between the sub and the dub, you couldn't go wrong with either way. It's both pretty effective in delivering the themes and messages of the film and really getting across the characters and their motivations as well. So if you choose either one, it's still pretty well true to the film and its original intent, I would say myself. But as for overall film, with the animation, the characters, the voice actors did a very nice job here with the Japanese voice actors and the English voice actors. There's behind the scenes look in the DVD, behind the microphone sort of feature, looking at the voice actors of this movie. And it's pretty annoying to me because they have different special features for the Blu-ray and the DVD, and so I kind of just want all the special features in one sort of disc, either make a separate disc or just put it on the Blu-ray. That's my sort of preference there. So that's one of my pet peeve with two different special features on the Blu-ray and the DVD. The Blu-ray gives you a behind-the-scenes look of how Nausicaa was created, and also showing you the original storyboards as well. As I said before, the DVD, it does give you a behind-the-scenes look at the voice actors, and also a behind-the-scenes look at the Studio Ghibli itself. And so pretty decent special features. Not really a lot going on, just like 4 or 5 total for the most part, but still a fantastic film, very underrated in terms of the Hayao Miyazaki lore, and Studio Ghibli as a studio itself, pretty underrated in that aspect because of the well-written characters, a fantastic background animation for showing off the setting of this world, and special features are pretty short, pretty like 10 to 11 minutes long, and some of them are pretty good with the behind the scenes look, some of them not so much with the interactive map you have on the Blu-ray. There's an interactive map of like trailers for other Studio Ghibli films. Not really the best special feature out there, but still, for all that being said, giving Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind an A-. It's definitely worth a check out if you have not seen it already, because of it's pretty interesting to look at the history of Hayao Miyazaki as a director, seeing where he began and seeing the evolution of that from looking at his films and Studio Ghibli films in chronological order. It's pretty interesting seeing the beginnings of a studio and a director. But what do you think about Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind? What are your thoughts in the comment section down below? Also make sure to like, share, and subscribe as well. Thank you for watching my Blu-ray review for Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Have a nice day. Bye bye.